Joel gave me a choice this morning. I think I made the wrong one. The building had been quiet all night. Not the quiet of safety. The quiet of 3 people in a small space who have run out of things to say that don't cut. I'd stayed on my side of the room. Joel had stayed on his. Ellie had slept, or tried to, or done something in between that looked like sleep from the outside. At first light, Joel put the camp stove away, folded his blanket with the precision of a man who'd been folding field equipment since before I learned to drive, and sat down across from me. He didn't open with questions. He didn't work up to it. "We need to make a decision today," he said. "About you." He laid it out the way he did everything, without decoration, without cruelty, without the softening that makes hard things feel manageable, but also makes them less honest. I was becoming unpredictable. He'd seen it before. Not the specific way it was manifesting in me, but the general shape of the gradual erosion of the boundary between a person and whatever they were being absorbed into. He'd watched it happen over weeks in the last zone. He knew the progression. Progression did not end well. "I'm not saying you're dangerous yet," he said. "I'm saying you will be, and I can't protect Ellie from something I can't predict." So he folded his hands. "We make a decision now, while you can still make it." Ellie hadn't moved from the couch. She was looking at a fixed point on the floor, the way you look at something neutral when you're trying to keep your face from saying anything. "Option 1, Joel said. "You stay with us. Under conditions." He paused. "At night, you're restrained. We establish signal. You leave the space. You tell us first. No solo movement. You accept that your instincts are not fully trustworthy, and you let us override them when we need to." He let that sit. "Option 2. You leave. You take enough supplies to function for a few days. You go in whatever direction makes sense, and we don't follow." The apartment settled around those 2 sentences. I looked at Ellie. She was still looking at the floor. "She gets a say," I said. "I know." Joel glanced at her. "Ellie." She looked up, not at Joel, at me. And the thing in her expression, the conflict that was pulling her face in 2 directions simultaneously, was something I recognized, not because I'd seen it in her before, but because I'd felt it in myself. The specific anguish of caring about a situation that you can't make safe. "I don't want you to leave," she said. Her voice was steady. The steadiness of someone who'd learned early that saying the true thing mattered more than saying the protected thing. "But," I said. She looked back at the floor. "But I don't know how to be around you right now. And I hate that. I feel that." She stopped. "I hate that. I took a long time with it. I laid out the logic in my head the way I'd been laying out logic for 12 days, methodically, without sentimentality, because sentimentality gets people killed in cities like this one. I thought about what restrained meant, practical, wrist-bounded, always in their sideline. Every instinct I had, including the ones that might keep me alive, made subject to someone else's judgment. I thought about what leaving meant, the fog, the empty streets. The 8 of them that had walked north with me the night before. And underneath the logic, barely audible but persistent, the memory of how it felt. The scale, the texture of something large, moving through me like weather. I made the choice. "I'll go," I said. Joel nodded once. "Clean. Expected." Ellie stood up from the couch. "Ethan, it makes more sense. You need to be able to move freely. I'm compromising that." "That's not." She stopped. "That sounds logical, but that's not why you're choosing it." I looked at her. "Then why am I choosing it?" She opened her mouth, closed it. Her jaw tightened. "I don't know," she said quietly. "That's what scares me." Joel helped me pack without being asked. Extra water, 3 cans, matches. He worked quickly and efficiently and without eye contact, the way you perform a task that you've made peace with but don't want to talk about while performing it. Ellie sat at the table and watched. When the pack was done, I put it on and stood by the door. The morning light through the curtains was flat and gray, fog light. The city wrapped in the same colorless atmosphere it had worn since day 3. "Head south," Joel said. "The saturation is lower south of the avenue. You'll have more room." "I know." He looked at me for a moment. Something moved through the steadiness of him. Not quite emotion, more like the acknowledgement of emotion. The space where it would live if he let it. "If you get clear of the zone," he said. "I know," I said again. He stepped back. That was the end of it. Ellie stood up from the table. She crossed the room in 3 steps and put her arms around me. Not dramatically, not like a scene, just plainly. The way you hold on to something when you're not sure it's the last time but preparing for it to be. I stood still for a moment. Then I held on back. She pulled away and looked up at me. Her eyes were dry. She held them dry the way you hold a breath. "You're still you," she said. "Right?" I looked at her. I thought about the street last night. The 8 shapes in formation. The walk north that I couldn't remember starting and couldn't remember wanting to stop. I thought about how it felt. "Yes," I said. She held my gaze for one more second. Then she stepped back, and I turned to the door before either of us could say the thing that was actually true. The street opened up around me. The fog was solid at ground level, 15 feet of clear space, and then gray-white in every direction. I stood on the sidewalk outside my building for a moment, adjusting to the outside the way you adjust coming out of a dark room. They were there. Of course they were, not close, spread along the opposite side of the street in a loose line extending north and south. How many? I tried to count in my peripheral vision without looking directly. 6, maybe 7. Stationary, facing this side of the street, facing me. I stood very still and looked south, the direction Joel had given, the rational direction. The infected on my left, the northern end of the line shifted, one step south, repositioning, adjusting to the angle of where I was looking. I looked north. They adjusted north. I stood there in the fog between a building where 2 people I'd known for 4 days were watching through a window and a street full of things that had not hurt me in 12 days and were not going to hurt me now. And understood, the clarity that was almost peaceful, what the choice had actually been. Not stay or leave, not controlled or free. The choice had been whether I would make it consciously or whether I would keep waiting for the night to make it for me. I'd chosen. I was outside. I was alone. And 8 shapes that moved with my thoughts and walked where I walked and never once had any intention of letting me go south. They were already realigning, already orienting north, already waiting for me to understand what I'd actually decided. I thought choosing would give me control, but I think it's exactly what they wanted.